This is the Suzuki V-Strom SX, a motorcycle almost the entire BikeWale team has come to admire a lot, mainly for its touring capabilities. It has all the ingredients to be a great small-size touring motorcycle. However, we have also established in the past that it is an expensive proposition. It is based on the Gixxer 250 in terms of hardware, but gets certain bells and whistles which make it more adventure touring oriented. However, it is also 30,000 more expensive than the standard variant of the Gixxer 250. That's substantial, isn't it? Now, if you're out in the market for a 250cc motorcycle for touring, besides carrying out your commute duties, but also you are tight on a budget, then one of the strong contenders is this, the Bajaj Pulsar F250. Although in isolation it is a good motorcycle, it misses out on certain things which don't make it as good an adventure tourer as the V-Strom on paper. However, what we can't forget that this is 61,000 more affordable than the V-Strom SX. That's huge, no? Now what we are trying to find out in this video, if it's worth it to pay 61,000 premium for the V-Strom SX and go for it, or are you better off with the Pulsar F250? Let's find out. But before we move ahead, make sure you subscribe to our channel and hit on the bell icon. It doesn't make a lot of sense for us to talk about the design of motorcycles because it's a subjective matter, right? But in this particular case, there are certain things that need to be clear, which images and videos might not be able to convey. The V-Strom SX is a big motorcycle dimension-wise. It is not just large for a 250cc bike, but also much bigger than the Pulsar F250 visually. So it's got this long and tall stance with a beak-like front fairing, a tall windscreen, a long tail and a metal luggage rack, all of which give it an imposing and rugged stance. And especially with this orange color, it really pops out, doesn't it? So out on the road, the V-Strom SX will surely grab more eyeballs than the Pulsar. That's not to say the Pulsar F250 lacks road presence. It does look sporty, handsome and proportionate. In my books, it is a better looking motorcycle than the N250, which visually resembles a few other naked street bikes. The F250 sports a wide headlamp section with boomerang-like DRLs. Then the side fairing flows neatly from the headlamp to the muscular fueled section, while the sharp tail completes the athletic look. Similar to their designs, there's a stark difference in the type of ergonomics these bikes offer. Now starting with the Pulsar, this has a much lower seat height at 795 mm. So hopping on and getting your feet on the ground is easy. It should be easy even for the shorter riders. And once you are on board, you realize the Pulsar offers a good balance between sporty and comfortable riding position. So you are crouched a bit ahead but not uncomfortably so. You have a clip-on handlebar which are pulled towards the rider, and you have a slightly rear set foot peg and a scooped out seat. Now, although the Pulsar is comfortable, as per my experience, it's hugely comfortable only for about 2 hours of riding, and after that your bottom starts getting a bit sore because of the lack of cushioning in the seat. Now moving on the V-Strom SX, it has a much taller seat height at 835 mm. So getting on the bike and flat footing is a little difficult. It will be even more difficult for shorter riders. Despite being 5 feet 11 inches tall, my heels are always up in the air. But this is one problem which can solve by paying just 1,000 rupees extra, because there is an additional accessory lower seat which brings down the seat height to 810 mm. Now once you get used to the tall seat height of the V-Strom, you start appreciating how comfortable it feels on the road. You are sitting upright, you have this wide and pulled back handlebar, so your back is straight, and the best part about the ergonomics of the V-Strom is its seat. So I have experienced this. I've ridden the motorcycle all day long, and despite of that, the seat cushioning, I never felt that it was inadequate. Your bottom is never sore, and you have this center set foot pegs. So the overall riding triangle is extremely comfortable. And I must not forget that even the pillion seat of the V-Strom is very spacious. It has dense cushioning, and thanks to the luggage rack, even with the pillion on board, you can mount some luggage on the tail. So that's one good thing about the V-Strom. Now moving on to the performance side of things, starting with the engine at 249cc, the displacement of both these motors are identical, but the internals are different. The V-Strom, for instance, is more performance oriented and it is more modern. It has 4 valves, it has higher compression ratio, and also it has oil cooled setup, but Suzuki says that their engine or oil cooling setup is so efficient that they didn't have the need to actually include cooling fins on the engine. The Pulsar, on the other hand, has a more basic setup with 2 valves, lower compression ratio, and a more traditional oil-cooled setup. And even in terms of performance numbers, the V-Strom makes more power and torque, and it revs higher. The performance numbers should be visible on your screen by now, and out on the road, the difference is just as much as their specifications on paper. The Pulsar delivers a strong punch from 3000 RPM, and acceleration is progressive almost throughout the rev band. To ride it spiritedly, you have to keep the revs above 5000 RPM, and it rewards you with a pull vigorous enough to execute quick overtakes in the city. It is also pretty tractable and allows you to ride at 40 kmph in 5th gear. While the V-Strom demands you to do more gear shifts, it greets you with a stronger pull than the Pulsar, especially in the mid and higher rev band. If you are in the right gear, overtakes are noticeably quicker. In a nutshell, both bikes are powerful enough to be enjoyed in the city. The more substantial difference can be felt on the highway. The V-Strom crosses 100 kmph seamlessly, and it can be ridden even at 120 kmph all day long without much sign of strain on the engine. It does get vibey at high speeds, but only around the foot pegs. It feels calmer and smoother on the highway, and overtaking is easier due to the presence of a 6-speed gearbox. The Pulsar, on the other hand, feels a bit strangled as you cross 100 kmph. While it can do 120 kmph, at those speeds, the engine feels under pressure, the absence of a 6th gear is evident, and there are noticeable vibrations on the handlebar and foot pegs. While changing directions or taking on corners, the sporty nature of the Pulsar F250 really comes alive. Switching lanes is easy, left to right transitions are swift, and while taking on corners, just a gentle tap on the bar is enough to tip the Pulsar in easily. Whereas the V-Strom SX demands you to put in a little more effort while changing directions. And that's mainly because of the 19-inch front wheel, because of which it feels slightly lazier while taking on corners. However, the wide handlebar provides great leverage while cutting through traffic. On the flip side, the 19-inch front wheel comes in handy while going over rough patches. It rolls over speed bumps, potholes or stones more easily than the Pulsar, which has a smaller 17-inch front. Now both bikes have a firm suspension setup, but the V-Strom feels a little jerkier at slow speeds. The Pulsar, meanwhile, absorbs all kinds of undulation with better plushness and ease. However, as the speeds rise, the V-Strom starts feeling relatively more planted and settled. Thanks to the larger front wheel, a higher ground clearance of 205 mm, block patent tires and a taller handlebar, mild off-roading on the V-Strom is also doable. Although its off-roading abilities are nowhere close to the likes of the Himalayan due to the stiff rear suspension and limited suspension travel, it doesn't feel completely out of place while taking on dirt roads. The Pulsar, on the other hand, feels best when ridden slowly in a seated position through rough patches, courtesy of its clip-on handlebar, 17-inch front wheel and road bias tires. As for the brakes, both bikes offer a decent stopping power. However, the Pulsar delivers marginally better bite and lever feel, both of which the V-Strom lacks. When it comes to fuel efficiency and range, the Pulsar is better than the V-Strom. It comes with a bigger 14-liter fuel tank and delivers a commendable fuel efficiency of 44 kmpl, which results in a range of over 600 kilometers. The V-Strom not only returned lesser mileage of 36 kmpl in our test, it also has a smaller 12-liter fuel tank despite being a more touring-focused offering. On the feature front, both bikes are decently equipped. The Pulsar F250 offers a full LED lighting system, an assist and slipper clutch, and a USB charging port. What's setting it back is the inclusion of a semi-digital console in the time when even 125cc motorcycles have started getting fully digital console. While the V-Strom misses out on a slipper clutch and LED indicators, it more than makes up for that by incorporating a fully digital instrument cluster with Bluetooth connectivity and turn-by-turn navigation. Other features in the V-Strom include an LED headlamp and tail lamp and a USB charging port. In the context of touring, the V-Strom SX is hands down a better motorcycle. It is a more aspirational and more desirable product. So you can do higher speeds more comfortably. The engine feels relaxed even at 120, 130 kmph. The riding triangle is more upright, the seat cushioning is better, and thanks to the 19-inch front wheel and higher ground clearance, all of these empower it with better off-roading capabilities. Also, it is visually more appealing and it gets connectivity features. However, 61,000 premium is too steep in my books, and had it been about 35 to 40,000 increment, it would have made the V-Strom a much stronger contender in this battle. The Pulsar, on the other hand, as I said in the beginning, it is a good motorcycle in isolation. Even when it comes to touring, it gets the job decently well, and so the engine feels decent at 100, 110 kmph. The riding triangle, although it's a little sporty, it is still comfortable, and the ride quality is acceptable, although it misses out on some goodies which the V-Strom gets. When you factor in the 61,000 lower price tag, it doesn't lose out by a big margin. So if you can spend 2.12 lakh ex-showroom on a motorcycle that will be used for touring often, the V-Strom SX has to be it. But if you can't stretch your budget, the Pulsar F250 can also get the job done.